I still remember the sound of those words. Soft, calm, but sharper than any knife could ever be. "We're leaving tomorrow, Mom. I already sold your beach house." My son, Daniel, said it the same way someone might mention they bought new groceries or paid a bill. No hesitation, no tremor in his voice, no glance to see if my heart was shattering inside my chest. I stood there in the hallway, holding the edge of the wooden doorframe, feeling the world tilt beneath my feet. That beach house, it was not just a house, it was my life's memory. My late husband's last gift, the place where my children said their first words, the place where the ocean taught me how to breathe again after tragedy. And now, sold, just like that. I tried to speak, but the air left my lungs before a single word came out. Daniel looked at me, tired, impatient, rushing. His wife, Clara, stood behind him, arms folded, her chin lifted slightly. She didn't look cruel, no, not cruel, just firm, unbothered, as if she had been waiting for this moment a long time. And I felt like a stranger in my own home. "My name is Mayra. I am 64 years old. My hands are softer now, my voice slower, my heart quieter. But it loves fiercely, just as it always has. I raised my children with tenderness. I cooked warm meals every evening. I listened to every school worry and every broken heart. I taught them to speak softly and love loudly. My husband, Thomas, oh, how gentle he was. He built the beach house with his own hands, board by board, nail by nail. It took 2 years, but not once did he complain. Every home needs a memory, he used to say. And every memory deserves a place to live. When he passed away, the beach house became my refuge. I would sit on the porch at sunset, listening to the waves whisper stories to me. They comforted me in ways no person could. Daniel knew all this. He grew up running barefoot on that sand. He learned to swim in those waters. He laughed there, he healed there. But life changes people, and time. Time can turn gentle hearts into something harder. When Daniel married Clara 5 years ago, I welcomed her with open arms. She was beautiful, confident, modern, everything my quiet world was not. She called me Mom with such sweetness that I believed everything would be fine. But slowly little things changed. She preferred city life bright lights, busy schedules, fast living. The beach house? She called it old-fashioned, a waste of maintenance, not practical. And Daniel, he stopped visiting as much, stopped calling as much, stopped remembering the softness of things. I thought it was life. I thought it was normal. I believed love always finds its way back. I just didn't know love needed attention. And I had been living too quietly. That morning, the autumn breeze smelled like the sea. I had been packing homemade muffins for them to take home. I heard the door open. Footsteps. Voices. I smiled. "Daniel, my love, I made breakfast." He didn't even look toward the kitchen. "Mom, we need to talk." I wiped my hands on my apron, walked to him, and saw the seriousness in his eyes. "We're leaving tomorrow," he said. "We're moving. And I already sold the beach house." I blinked. Sold. The house my husband built with love. The house I prayed in. The house I healed in. The house I still needed. Something cracked inside me, not loudly, quietly, like glass under slow pressure. "Why?" I whispered. Daniel sighed. "It's time to move on, Mom. You don't need it anymore. We need the money for our new house. It's a smart decision. We? But where was I in this we? Before I could speak, Clara added softly, almost politely, "You'll come live with us. It will be easier that way." Easier? For whom? My chest tightened, my breathing became shallow. The walls around me felt closer. I didn't argue, I didn't scream, I didn't cry, not then. I simply nodded, because when life changes too fast, a person sometimes freezes. But that night I went to the beach house one last time. The moon was bright, the waves gentle, the air cool and kind. I walked through every room, touching every wall, remembering every laugh, every tear. And then, in the corner of the bedroom, under the old cedar floorboard, I remembered something. Something even Daniel didn't know. A secret Thomas left only for me. A secret that could change everything. My heart pounded. I knelt down, pulled back the board, reached inside. My fingers touched it. The truth. The one thing they never expected. A quiet breath escaped my lips as I lifted it from the floor. What I found would change the course of our lives forever. I stood up slowly, knowing tomorrow would not happen the way they thought. I held the small wooden box in my hands, the one my husband, Thomas, had hidden beneath the floorboard all those years ago. It was smooth and dark, carved with tiny ocean waves, a symbol of the place where our hearts had once belonged. Inside it, I already knew what I would find, not because Thomas told me, but because I had seen him hide it. I saw him that night before he passed, his hands weak, his breath slow, his eyes gentle but filled with unspoken words. He had looked at me and whispered, "Mayra, some truths wait for the right moment." For 22 years, I waited without opening that box. Maybe I was not ready. Maybe I was afraid. Maybe I believed love itself was enough. But now, things were different. My son was no longer the boy who ran barefoot through the sand. He had become a man who saw life in terms of gain and loss, profit and sacrifice. And his wife, Clara, her steps in my home felt unfamiliar. She touched my things as if already replacing them. She spoke to me with careful politeness, the kind people use when they don't truly see you. I sat down on the edge of the bed, holding the wooden box tightly. The night air whispered against the window curtains. The waves murmured outside, a sound that had always comforted me. But tonight, the ocean felt like it was calling me to wake up. With slow, trembling hands, I opened the box. Inside, wrapped in a small velvet cloth, was a set of documents, a key and a letter. My breath caught in my throat. The documents were property papers, not for one house, but two. The beach house and another house. A large one, a beautiful one, in my name. A new home Thomas had bought secretly, to be given to me when I turned 65. 2 months from now, tears fell onto the velvet. I pressed the papers against my heart. Thomas, even after death, was still protecting me, still loving me. The key, small, silver, sat gently in my hand. A promise I had not known existed. And then, the letter. I unfolded it slowly. My husband's handwriting, steady, kind, familiar. My Mayra, if you are reading this, life has likely asked you to make a difficult decision. I know our children may not always understand the value of what we built. But you must remember, you are not meant to live for others' approval. You are meant to live in the peace you deserve. This new home will be your sanctuary when you feel the world is changing faster than your heart. Go there when you need to remember who you are. And Mayra, love has given us a life. Do not let guilt take it away. With you, always, Thomas. I covered my mouth as a cry escaped me. Soft, broken, real. I wasn't helpless. I wasn't alone. And I wasn't dependent. I still had something of my own. Something no one could take. The next morning sunlight filtered through the window. The smell of ocean salt lingered in the air. My familiar friend. Daniel and Clara arrived early, ready to help me pack. Clara moved through the house quickly, opening drawers, sorting boxes, making decisions as if the home already belonged to her. Daniel leaned against the wall, scrolling his phone casually, as though he wasn't uprooting a lifetime of memories. I watched them quietly. I did not speak about the box. Not yet. Instead, I made tea, calm, graceful. I placed the cups gently on the table and sat across from them. Clara gave a polite smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Daniel spoke first. "Mom, it'll be easier once we get you settled. It's better for everyone. Everyone. Everyone, except me." I looked at my son, my boy. The boy I once held when he scraped his knee, when he cried after losing his favorite toy, when he swore he would never leave me. And I spoke softly, with the same tone I used to hush him to sleep. "Daniel, do you truly believe I have nothing left? No choices of my own? Nothing that belongs to me?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, it's not like that." But it was. And his hesitation told me he knew. I reached into my pocket and placed the key on the table. The small silver key. Clara's expression changed. Just slightly, like a flicker of surprise behind carefully controlled eyes. Daniel frowned. "What is that?" I didn't answer right away. I let silence do its work. Then I said quietly, "This is to the home your father left for me. A home I will be moving into." Silence. Heavy, sharp, unwelcome, Clara blinked. Twice. Daniel looked confused. No, startled. No, almost betrayed. "What home, Mom? What are you talking about?" I met his eyes. "The one your father bought before he passed. The one he left in my name. The one I will live in. Because my life is not yours to rearrange." Clara's jaw tightened. Daniel's face slowly flushed red. He opened his mouth, but just then, The doorbell rang. The timing, almost too perfect. Daniel looked toward the hallway. Clara stood frozen. I knew who it was. I had made one phone call at dawn. Someone who had rights, power, knowledge, memory. My husband's lawyer, and with him, the final truth. The door opened. Footsteps entered. My son exhaled sharply. Mom, what is going on? I looked at him gently, with the same love I had always carried, but now with strength. It is time, I said, for you to learn what your father left behind. The lawyer stepped inside quietly, as if he already understood the storm waiting in the room. His name was Mr. Reynolds, a calm, soft-spoken man who had been our family's legal advisor for more than 20 years. He had attended Thomas's funeral. He had seen me break. He had seen Daniel cry like a child, the last time I saw him cry from his heart. Today, however, my son stood stiff, guarded, almost defensive. Clara moved closer to him, her hand resting on his arm, not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of losing control of something she believed she already owned. Mr. Reynolds looked at me first, not them. His eyes were gentle, warm, familiar. Mayra, he said softly. Are you ready? I nodded. My hands were steady now. My heart was no longer trembling. I had remembered myself. He placed his leather briefcase on the living room table and opened it carefully. Inside were folders, documents, and a sealed envelope. Clara's eyes darted from document to document, as though she was counting possibilities. Daniel swallowed hard. Why are you here? He asked. Mr. Reynolds didn't look at him. He turned to me. Shall I explain? He asked. Yes, I whispered. They need to know. Mr. Reynolds straightened his glasses. 22 years ago, shortly before Thomas passed, he made arrangements to secure the financial stability and independence of his wife, Mayra. Clara blinked rapidly. Daniel's jaw tightened. He purchased a secondary property, a new home, under Mayra's name only. It cannot be sold, transferred, or claimed by anyone without her signed independent consent. Clara stepped forward. But she did sign the consent for selling this house. Mr. Reynolds raised a hand gently. No, she did not. The document you used was invalid. It was not notarized correctly. It was signed under emotional pressure. And this beach house, he tapped a document, was never entirely in Daniel's name to begin with. Thomas kept majority ownership in Mayra's trust account. Clara went pale. Daniel's voice cracked, not in regret, but in disbelief. No, that's impossible. Mom, you told me this house was ours. I looked at him slowly. I told you this house was home. Not something to sell, not something to trade, not something to measure in money. He backed away a little, as though the furniture itself had shifted. Mr. Reynolds continued gently. In addition, Thomas left a yearly inheritance fund exclusively for Mayra's living comfort. It activates fully on her 65th birthday. Clara's face tightened. A calculation flickered behind her eyes, the kind that measures value, not love. Daniel stared at her, and for the first time, he saw. Not love, not warmth, not partnership. He saw wanting, greed, ambition, the hunger to climb higher, even if it meant stepping on the woman who raised him, his mother. I watched realization grow in him, slow and heavy, like rain filling a glass. He sank onto the couch. His hands covered his face. Mom, I thought selling it was the best thing. Clara said. Clara quickly grabbed his arm. Daniel, don't do this. Your mother should understand. I looked at her, not unkindly, but with a clarity that had taken me years to earn. Clara, I said softly, I don't hate you, but you saw me as old, alone, easy to move aside. A woman whose usefulness had ended. Her lips parted, but no words came. You forgot, I whispered, that age does not erase dignity, or memory, or love. The room was silent. Even the ocean outside seemed to listen. My mind drifted to the first day in this house. Thomas painting the porch railing white. Daniel stacking seashells by the window. My laughter in the kitchen. The smell of cinnamon and warm bread. The sunlight dancing on the floor. This house was not walls. It was years. It was heart. It was us. And now they wanted to walk away, as if none of it ever mattered. My voice trembled, but it did not break. I gave my life to this family. I gave everything I had. And you both thought I had nothing left to stand on. Daniel looked up, his eyes wet. Mom, I'm sorry. The words were small, but they were real. Clara's hand slipped from his arm. Her expression hardened, quietly, sharply. This was not the apology she wanted him to make. This was not the direction she planned. And in that silent shift, something inside her snapped. Clara exhaled slowly, her voice low, controlled. Daniel, we have to think about our future. Not just hers, we need that money. Your job is unstable. We're planning to start a family. A family? I repeated softly. She turned to me, expecting sympathy. But I was not the same woman from yesterday. Clara, I said gently, a family is built on love. Not transactions, not deals. Not selling the home of the woman who would become the grandmother of your children. She froze. Daniel looked at her, fully, clearly, perhaps for the first time. Something inside him shifted. His shoulders lowered, his breath trembled. Clara, he whispered, is that all you care about? Her silence was the answer. Not spoken, but loud. Mr. Reynolds packed up slowly, respectfully. He had done his part. He turned to me. Mayra, whenever you are ready, I will drive you to your new home. It is prepared, cleaned. Waiting. Like a promise kept, I nodded. Clara stepped forward, urgency returning to her voice. Daniel, tell her we're staying. Tell her we can still move. Tell her. Daniel lifted his hand, not angrily, just tired. No, Clara. She stopped. The word was enough. He turned to me, broken, humbled, human once more. Mom, can I come with you? Clara's breath caught. Daniel, but he did not look at her. He looked only at me, his mother, the boy I raised, the boy who grew away from me, the boy who was trying, now, to find his way back. My heart ached, but before I could speak, there was a sound. A loud one, something breaking, the front door. Someone had opened it without knocking. Steps echoed through the hallway, and a voice, familiar, sharp, filled the room. I need to speak to Mayra. Immediately. All of us turned toward the door. My breath caught, because I knew that voice. And what it meant. The voice from the doorway stopped all of us where we stood. Firm, steady, unshaken. I turned slowly. There, standing in the archway, was my daughter, Emily. My child, my firstborn, the one who had moved to the city many years ago. The one who had drifted away, quietly, like a tide pulling back into the ocean. She stood with her handbag still on her shoulder, her breath uneven, her eyes glistening but determined. Her gaze fell on her brother first, then Clara, then me. Mom, she said, stepping forward, her voice trembling. I came as soon as I heard. Daniel blinked. Heard what? Emily didn't look at him. She walked straight to me and wrapped her arms around me, tight, as if afraid I would vanish if she loosened her hold. I felt warmth, real warmth, not politeness, not obligation, just love. I'm here now, she whispered. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in days, I exhaled. Emily pulled back and looked directly at Daniel. Her voice was calm, but unshakable. You were going to sell Mom's home without telling me? Daniel swallowed hard. I thought, Clara said, we needed... Clara stepped forward quickly. Emily, don't make this dramatic. We only wanted what was best for everyone. Emily turned to her, and her expression was unlike anything I had ever seen from her. It was not anger, it was disappointment. Best for everyone, she repeated softly. Or best for you? Clara's lips pressed together. Daniel's shoulders sank. Emily looked at our lawyer. Mr. Reynolds, I'd like to review every document, every statement, every transaction they've attempted. I'll stand as a witness and legal supporter for my mother. Her words landed like steady grounding earth beneath my feet. I had not expected rescue, but perhaps love returns when it is truly needed. We all sat, the four of us, the ocean whispering through the windows. The room felt heavier now, quieter. Truth had filled the spaces where silence once lived. Mr. Reynolds packed away the papers with care. Clara broke the silence first, her voice thin, strained. So, what now? We just stay here? Like nothing happened? I looked at her gently. No, Clara, something did happen. And now we must decide what it means. She crossed her arms, but her eyes lowered. Her power was gone. Her certainty was gone. Daniel looked at me, really looked, and his voice cracked. Mom, I'm sorry. I thought I was doing what was right. I thought I was helping. My heart softened. Because even mistakes come from pain sometimes. I know, I whispered. You forgot what home meant. Not just walls, but memory and love. His chin trembled. He lowered his head onto my shoulder, just like he had as a child, and I held my son. Emily closed her eyes. Her hand rested on my back. A family, not perfect, but real. Clara stood alone. She watched us. The warmth she had never truly understood. And something inside her finally broke. Softly she said, "I don't belong here, do I?" I didn't answer. Sometimes silence is the kindest truth. Daniel didn't speak either, and in that silence, Clara understood her place. She picked up her bag, walked to the door, paused just for a breath, then left. The sound of the door closing was not harsh, it was final. Later that afternoon, we drove to the house Thomas had left for me. Emily drove. Daniel sat quietly, his hand resting over mine. The air between us was fragile, but healing. When we arrived, the house stood softly at the top of a small hill, surrounded by wildflowers and white stone. The front porch was warm in the sunlight. The windows reflected the open sky. It didn't feel new, it felt waiting. I stepped inside. The floors glowed with honey-colored wood. The curtains were light and soft. The air smelled like quiet mornings. And on the kitchen counter, placed with care, was a framed photo. Me, Thomas, Emily, small and laughing. Daniel reaching for a seashell in my hands. A note rested beside it. "Home is where love returns." My knees softened, my heart opened. This wasn't the end of a life. This was the beginning of another. Daniel came beside me, tearful, quiet. "Mom, can I stay a while?" I smiled, warm, gentle, with all the love I had ever held for him. "Yes, Daniel, stay. Learn this time, not to leave." He nodded, silently promising. Emily hugged me once more. "Mom, we're here now, not perfect, not always right, but here." I placed my hands on both of theirs. "Warm, safe, firm. We will rebuild," I said. "Not just home, but family." That evening I sat on the porch, listening to the ocean again. The waves didn't sound sad anymore. They sounded like breathing, a soft, steady rhythm of life. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Thomas. I'm safe now." The wind moved through the flowers, and I swear, for just a moment, I felt his hand in mine.